Dear friends, welcome to Know Thyself YouTube channel. Good morning. Hope you're all staying safe and keeping well. I sincerely thank all of you who have subscribed to this channel and follow the channel. If you find the contents of the videos uploaded in this channel useful, please subscribe to this channel and click the notification or the bell icon so that you can be notified when a video is uploaded. Kindly share the videos with others or on the internet. In the last episode of Know Your Personality segment, we focused our attention on the type 5 personality of Enneagramic-Jesus, namely as an observer, investigator. Though Jesus was a man of wisdom who went to the mountains, hills, and lonely places, particularly at nights and early mornings, to spend time alone in reflection and prayer, he wonderfully managed the pitfalls of type 5 compulsion and avoidance by never falling into the traps of being too aloof, being only an observer of events, being only an investigator of problems, leaving initiatives to others, and avoiding social involvements. Instead, Jesus was a man of dialogue who was with people, friends, and adversaries, teaching, engaging in discussion, and answering questions he was challenged with. In this episode, we will elaborate on what made Jesus to be a man of dialogue who was involved with every type of people, despite his reflective, solitary, and aloof nature. Firstly, unlike an Enneagram type 5 person, type 5 Enneagramic-Jesus, despite his quiet, reflective, and wisdom-loving nature, took care that he did not fall into the trap of aloofness. By getting lost in his own inner thought world, being bored of other people's company, or being weary of his commitment to close-knit groups. This is clear from some of the actions of Jesus. Though before he began his public ministry, he went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights for personal preparation. As he began his public ministry, he chose a band of 12 apostles and started living with them. They formed a close-knit community. Jesus greatly appreciated their loyalty and affection for him and was truly grateful to them. Jesus truly loved them and cared for them. They were Jesus' constant companions. Jesus called them his friends and shared all God had revealed to him. John 15:15. Even though Jesus often went apart from them to lonely places seeking solitude, silence, and communion with his Father, he never saw his close companions as a hindrance to his solitude or to his privacy. On the contrary, even when they intruded into his solitude, Jesus did not show any annoyance, and he moved out of his solitude to join them to continue with his mission of preaching. Mark 1:35-38. Secondly, unlike an Enneagram type 5 person, type 5 Enneagramic-Jesus never considered anybody as platitudes, commonplace people, or ordinary folks because they were not able to engage in hard logic, serious study, and not able to grasp real issues, nor was he cynical about and disrespectful of them. This is clear from the way Jesus treated his apostles. He never condemned them for their lack of understanding, nor was he sarcastic or scornful of them for their ignorance. He was always patient towards them and explained his teachings in the manner they can grasp and understand. Hence, Jesus used the pedagogy in which he did not share with them everything all at once. Instead, Jesus took a gradual and step-by-step approach in instructing his disciples. This strategy of Jesus is beautifully illustrated in Jesus' instruction on love of neighbor, which was the heart of Jesus' gospel message. Firstly, Jesus pointed out his disciples that already in the Old Testament, All commandments boil down to two, namely love of God and love of neighbor. Luke 10:25 to 28. Secondly, Jesus taught them that the commandment of love of neighbor is similar to that of the love of God. Matthew 22:39, thereby suggesting that in order to love God, one must love one's neighbor. Thirdly, Jesus expanded his disciples' awareness concerning who was their neighbor in the parable of the Good Samaritan and made them realize that their neighbor was anyone who was in need. Luke 10:20 to 27. Fourthly, Jesus showed his disciples that serving the needs of others was serving Jesus himself, and this would be the basis on which they would be judged on the last day. Matthew 25:31 to 46. On Holy Thursday, after washing the disciples' feet, Jesus spoke to them about the new commandment of love, which consists in loving one another as Jesus has loved them. And the observance of the new commandment of love would qualify them to be his disciples. John 13:1 to 17. Sixthly, in chapter 17 of John's Gospel, Jesus prays that the love and unity among his disciples resemble the unity and love between the Father and Jesus. And this love and unity among Jesus' disciples is meant to witness to the world that Jesus was sent by God. John 17:20 to 23. This slow and steady strategy helped the disciples to understand Jesus' teaching and to teach them to others later with great vigor and vitality. Thirdly, unlike an Enneagram type 5 person, Type 5 Enneagramic-Jesus was neither a mere observer of events nor simply an investigator of problems to find solutions. His desire for reflection, silence, solitude, and think through problems neither made him to leave taking initiatives and carrying out social activities to others, nor made him avoid the company of people, whether they were his friends or foes. Though Jesus spent nights and early morning hours away from people in the mountains and hills to enjoy solitude that was dear to him, he spent the day hours with people. Jesus was an observer and investigator. At the same time, he was also a real participant in life. He was a man of reflection. At the same time, he was also a man of dialogue. Scripture is full of examples of Jesus' interactive and dialoguing characteristics. We mentioned a few of them. Jesus joined the wedding feast at Cana, John 2:1 to 11. Jesus was often at the company of his disciples. He taught them many things, corrected them, admonished them, praised them, shared his human experience of agony and suffering with them, shared his divine transfiguration experience with them, answered their questions and clarified their doubts. Jesus had interactive and dialoguing relationship with all sorts of people, such as Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, Simon the Pharisee, Matthew and Zacchaeus, both publicans, a number of women, such as Samaritan woman, John 4:7-26, woman caught in adultery, Mary Magdalene, Veronica, women of Jerusalem, and many others. All these examples of interaction clearly point to the fact, despite his reflective and wisdom-loving nature, Type 5 Enneagramic-Jesus was equally a participant in life and a man of dialogue. Fourthly, unlike an Enneagram Type 5 person, Type 5 Enneagramic-Jesus was neither miserly in giving his time to others, nor was he stingy in sharing his knowledge and wisdom with others. Jesus' desire for reflection did not make him shun people out of his life. In fact, Jesus was a wise man who cared about people, deeply loved them, and was ready to do what he could do for others. So he was always available to people, particularly the ones in need and who wanted his advice. He was always ready to repeat his explanations when people did not understand him. He encouraged others to draw him out with questions. He took kindly and seriously even those questions that seemed silly and foolish. because Jesus saw questions as opportunities to communicate something. This dimension of type 5 Enneagramic Jesus would become clear if we look at the dialogue between Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Jesus patiently answered all her questions. He kept the dialogue going even though it might have tested his patience, and eventually moved her to express her faith in the Messiah and then to discover that he was the Messiah. John 4 7 to 26. Hence, unlike an Enneagram type 5 person, type 5 Enneagramic Jesus was generous with his time and magnanimous in sharing with others his knowledge and wisdom. The above described traits, attitudes, and qualities Jesus displayed in living his type 5 personality helped him not to get caught up with type 5 compulsion of knowing more, avoidance of emptiness, and their consequent pitfalls such as being aloof, being an investigator of problems, being an observer of events, not taking initiatives, being stingy in giving his time and sharing his knowledge, and dodging social interactions. Instead, despite his reflective and quiet nature, he could be a man of dialogue, participate fully in everyday living, generously give other people his time and knowledge, and reach out to others in relationships. In the next episode, we will talk about how Enneagram type 5 persons can learn to deal with their compulsion and avoidance from the Enneagramic-Jesus type 5 personality, thereby live a compulsion-free and avoidance-free life with themselves, others, and God. Thank you for watching this video. Stay blessed until we see you again with another video.